How we doing today? Sit here and see Down Under Maker and Howie already in chat. How you guys doing? Gonna give people a little bit of time to trickle in here, you know. Something that we don't normally see. I've got a clean desk. We haven't seen that in a bit. Down Under, I'm pretty eager to do an unboxing. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And I'm just trying to figure out how to read your previous one of 5 minutes lead-in is too long. All right. So we're sitting here just waiting for some people to come in. It's your happy birthday, Down Under. Thanks for stopping in. And, you know, I could say that's a real honor. It's your birthday and you want to sit here and you're coming in to watch my stream. So must be doing something right if you enjoy it that much. Oh, we're getting some more people coming in. I see the poll going a bit back and forth. Apparently one person wasn't ready for something new so far. The rest of you are kind of ready for something new. Let's see. Other news, you know, we're gonna be working on getting our new studio here soon. How you doing, Mark Davis? Thanks for stopping on in. I've got this entire week off so I can clear out the garage in another location so we can get a new studio with more room, because this room here is maybe, what would you say, James, 3 meters by 3 meters?
Doesn't matter, it's too small either way.
If that, yeah, it's a tiny little shed. Down Under, I'm gonna go with the technicality of the Voron is built, it's just not tuned. Let's see, Howie. Phil is waiting for me to solder so he can form a full opinion. Find out whether or not I'm in the camp of flux or no flux. How you doing, Caleb? Welcome on in. They're saying the echo is back. Down Under, is it only when James is talking, or is it with when I'm like this?
No, I know it is. I need to get another mic, and I don't have the ability to do that this exact second in time. He didn't let me go to the store when I wanted to today.
Oh, Perky Cat, we have not forgotten the 900 Voron mods. I already have some mods planned out for it. Down Under, there are LEDs on the tool head. They're not functioning, but they are there. But to answer Howie's question, we did get some mail in. So the first one is from Tom, and hey, we've got the back panel that was designed by Steve Build that Tom printed for us, so we don't have to worry about that PTFE tube flapping all around on the printer once we get back to working on the Voron. And then Howie did send us the new printed parts for the doors. I'm going to be getting those on after stream at this point, but wanted to show those off because I needed to get the Voron off the desk for today's project. And it looks like there's something else in here. So James told me there's something else in here. I have not seen what else is in here. So let's see what we got. Howie, you really like your bananas, don't you? Howie has sent us a calibrated banana. Each square is 10 millimeters. So we can actually officially use a banana for scale now. So the box, banana for scale. Let's see if we can get that centered right. There we go. Banana for scale for the size of the box. Yep, Gargaman, we officially have a banana for scale. How is that? The print. Oh, I didn't even see the back. There's even a, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it with the light, but there is actually a metric ruler on the back as well. That is awesome. Oh, but yeah, the print, the top quality on this is amazing. I wish my Voron was printing like this, Howie. Pat, how you doing? Okay, so the original plan for the next project was to sit here and build a Frax flex arm. A lot of you guessed that and everything. But in order to print the Frax flex arm, I need printed parts. And while, you know, there have been amazing community members like Howie and Tom that have sent me parts that I needed to work on this build, you know, I don't want to rely on them. I'd like to be able to print my own parts for things. So with that, we kind of had to pivot. And so I had the next few projects already planned out and everything. So we're putting the Frax on hold to go to the project that I plan to do after that, which is, if James will give us a switch on the drum roll. We're going to be building a Prusa Core 1 Plus entirely from the kit. So yep, it's a Core 1 Plus Perky Cat. You know, I've seen a lot of people, they've built Core 1s, they've done the Core 1 Plus upgrade from the Core 1 to the Core 1 Plus. I haven't seen many do the actual Core 1 Plus complete build. So, you know, I needed a reliable printer that I could have as a workhorse. And, you know, Prusa has made a name for themselves, you know, as that reliable printer. So, you know, while Bamboo and all that, Bamboo, Creality, Elegoo and all that can be pretty reliable as well. You know, I wanted the Core 1 Plus. Down Under, I would have gotten the L, but I also wanted to build stuff. And they don't make a kit for the L yet. That's just a buy it, put it together, and you're good. So I did still want to build it. Eventually, I may get an L, but you know, for now, I'm just starting off. I want some projects to build and take you guys along for the ride. Now, I did reach out to Prusa. I purchased this with my own money. So this was not supplied to me by Prusa or anything, but I did reach out to them to let them know, hey, I was going to be streaming the build. And they sat here and reached back to me, and they actually sent me a few things. Specifically, we've got 2 rolls of filament. One is the obligatory Prusa Orange PLA. The other is actually their new filament. This is in a lipstick red, but it's in their new RFID refillable roll. So I have not opened these yet, but let's see. That better, James? So We're going to see how well this will show up on camera. That is a bit blown out on that camera. Yeah, we're a bit fluorescent on the face cam. But I'm going to sit here and see about getting... There we go. There's the top down. So the red is actually a really nice looking red. And I can say for the weight and everything, this is actually a pretty nice weight. Honeycomb pattern on the spool itself keeps down the to help keep down the weight. But yeah, so this apparently has the new RFID tags in it, so you can just have them read what filament it is right from the get-go. So we'll put that roll away. I'm gonna keep it sealed for now because Florida is a very moist environment. Mad Dog, how you doing? Yep, Cody, you called it last week. It's a Core 1 Plus, and then of course this is the other, of course, the Prusa Orange, still with the honeycomb. And that's kind of cool. They actually print. I don't know if that's showing up. Yeah, they actually print on the spool itself, kind of almost looks laser etched on there. The color, the ID, the nozzle temperature, and the heat bed instead of a sticker. So probably a bit more permanent solution. How you doing, David? Armor 3D. Nice. Thank you for stopping in. We're just showing off the Prusa rolls. So I'd say our next step, let's see. Well, Gergman, I do agree that there are a lot of RFID standards out there. Hopefully we can get one that's, you know, agreed upon soon. And it'd be nice. I do like the open source of Prusa implementation, so that's gonna be nice. But let's start where we almost always start with any kind of, or with where everyone starts with any kind of build. Let's see what's in the box. So, of course, you can't have a Prusa without hair bows. Let's see here. So Armor, the package we got from you was this is what I've got from you. If there was something else, that I don't know. This is all I've received. We got the two Prusa filaments. Let's see. Yep, we've got our hairy bows, so I'm gonna have to sit here and make sure that James doesn't eat those. Nice 3D print, nice handbook. So that if you don't have internet access, ooh, stickers. You can still build the printer without internet access. Actually, a pretty decent thumb drive it's looking like. A checklist going through that, hey, they've verified everything's in the box. Let's see here, you're sure? David, no, I did not get one of those. That did not show up in the mail. Core 1 update stickers. So serial number label and plexi stickers. A little bit of information about what's different from the Core 1 to the Core 1 Plus. A nice little thank you letter for purchasing. And so we're going to get these things off to the side. Well, Armor, I do not know what happened then, because that was the only thing that showed up in the mailbox. All right, so, but yeah, I'll get with you after the stream, Armor. So get with all of our plexiglass box with all of our plexiglass in it. Let's see. Let's open up that box and see, you know. Pretty sure we're all familiar. Ooh, it's nice plexiglass. So they've got some nice smoked plexiglass for the vent covers and the top. Trying to keep this kind of organized so that way when the instructions tell me to go to a certain box, I can. I can say though, this smoked plexi does look really nice. With labels already applied. Oh, this is gonna look nice. Let's see. Mad Dog check James's wardrobe. Oh, let's. Yeah. All right. So we've got spring steel sheet, PEI. I will definitely say Prusa does a very good job at packaging. This stuff is well sealed. There's not much room for wiggle, so you know it's not going to be moving around. That feels very solid and sturdy. So smooth PEI. Let's see here. All right. Thanks, Armor. I will look forward to hearing you from you on that. Electronics. So what kind of electronics do they send with these now?
The fun part.
I do like a good electronics box. Okay. Oh, now that is an attention to detail that I do like. Let me get this out of the package. So, you know, power supplies, we've all seen them, but that Prusa took the extra effort to source a black cased power supply for their printer to match the rest. That is a little bit of attention to detail that I do like. You know, it sits here and just brings that aesthetic. It shows that attention to detail that, you know, is definitely giving me some even more confidence. We have a C13 power cord. Pre-terminated and pre-crimped PSU cables. Always useful. Okay. Okay, so Armor is saying make sure with the smooth PEI to use a glue stick or something like Magic Goo for anything other than the PLA, otherwise the plate will get damaged. Okay, so we want some sort of releasing agent on it to keep it in its proper condition. That is a good piece of advice, Armor. Let's see. The extruder assembly core is in the electronics box. I'm trying to keep these things in the box they are because I did a little preview on the manual, and it actually tells you what box to go looking in to find things. So more of our extruder parts, the springs, the hinges, looks like some thumb screws. Did I say springs and hinges? Springs and washers and rods. Oh, Arbor, you'll have to tell that story this Tuesday on your stream. I'll ask you in your stream so we can actually hear the story from you. All right, our little electronics PCB, we're gonna put that back in.
I want to know how long everyone thinks it's going to take for him to complete this build.
6 months.
I quit.
All right, so our linear rod bearings, our idlers, our tooth pulleys, and expansion joints. So those all come nice and neatly packaged in one bag. Another PCB. I'm not sure which one this is, but I'm pretty sure we'll find out when we get to that step. Our screen, nice and compact.
Fancy.
With instead of using a ribbon cable, it looks like we actually have a connector on there, so that'll be nice. A lot easier to connect that than it is a ribbon cable. So I don't know if he's here yet, but I know RJ has been talking about manuals and everything recently, and I've got to say, from the little bit that I looked ahead in the manual to kind of get an idea of what I'm doing, kind of where I'm going, Prusa is doing the manual right. So our tool head board. Let's see here, that looks like a 4010 fan, maybe even 3010.
You're not using the right tool. We have a calibrated banana for that.
But that's all the way down there. Hold up. We'll use the calibrated banana. So there's our calibrated banana. We'll line it up with one, and you can see it's 4 squares wide. So that's 40 millimeters. So 40 millimeters by 10. So that is a 4010. So there we go. We got a calibrated banana. Then nice blower fan. The extruder box with, it looks like our extruder heat sink, the hot end assembly, the thermistor, and the PG assembly. Let's go ahead and take a peek inside here. Ooh. Yep, there's our planetary gear housing with our gears. Nozzle already in the heater brake, and some pretty thermistor and heater core already in there. And ooh, that's a nice hefty chunk of metal there. Looks like that's going to be possibly a temperature sensor. I'll have to find that out when we get to that step. Yeah, I can say so far, Armor, the Prusa manual, from what I've seen, is night and day ahead of everyone else as far as manuals are going. Granted, I've only really seen through like 4 different manuals, but I'm still quite impressed by it.
And only built one other printer.
All right, so that is our electronics. Let's see here. Kenneth, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. You're coming in just at the right time. So, and then Howie, did I order from Printed Solid or Prusa Direct? So I sat here and ordered from Prusa directly, and that was because when I ordered this, you know, believe it or not, ordering this directly from Prusa with import fees and shipping and everything was cheaper than ordering it from Printed Solid by a good like $100. So I don't know if that's just because of where I live or what, but at the time it was cheaper to order it directly from Prusa than it was to sit here and buy it here in the US. So then our box 10 is our linear rods. So they seem fairly straight there. I'm not seeing any signs of them rolling off to the side, so that's always a good sign.
Can confirm that they are indeed rods.
Okay, that's a pretty big box. So let's go into this box next. This is our motor kit box. Let's see here. German, you might go up to Delaware from Maryland and not pay shipping. That'd be a nice way to do it, yeah, but unfortunately Delaware's a bit of a way going for me. And Kenneth, yep, we're going to be putting together a Core 1 Plus. So we have our original Prusas motors with integrated lead screws on them. I could say you definitely have quite a bit of line on there, so there definitely should not be any problems with anything reaching. Shorter little steppers, that's our y-axis. And I will say that is another, like, you know, they get their own parts made, but that is a nice little thing where they actually label what it's for. For a new builder, that is a great help. Our extruder motor. I believe this should be our x-axis, yep. And then, of course, one of the other z-axis. Yep, z-axis left. Now I know, let's see here. Yeah, so armor, yeah, that's another thing to mention. Printed Solid is going through some changes right now. So, you know, when I purchased, it was before all those changes were even announced. So keep an eye on Printed Solid. You know, things, from what I understand, things are happening. So let's see here. Gergman, you had to buy a new furnace. So yeah, unfortunately, so life happens sometimes, Gergman, and gets in the way of our printing hobby. Yeah. Oh. Okay, let's see here, Gergman. You're very patient. You hope things. Yeah. So yeah, I would say let's just all, you know, we can all be patient. Keep an eye on it, because, you know, Bruce has been in this community for a while. They've done some good things from everything I've read and everything and heard about. So if they've got some plan, I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that something good happening. So some more circuit boards. Again, some of these are labeled, like this one is the NFC set. Yeah. Then some more circuit boards and an IR filament sensor. And it looks like another temperature sensor or a thermistor. No, that looks too small to be a that looks like it might be a temperature sensor. And be very careful with those wires. Alright, just getting this put back in, and on the kind of stuck to the bottom of this to the tape was little fan grill. What else is in the box? Some pretty beefy fans. Our corner pieces. These are LED status cover, the motor washers, the trapezoidal nut for one of the Z motors. I believe, yep, our other Z motor is down here in the box. And oh yay, I get to have more fun with a linear rail. Now, normally with the linear rail, so far I've done the grease and I've read about that, but I believe Prusa sits here and uses oil, so I am going to stick with the way Prusa does it for this, because they have a lot of these printers built and have been doing it. So, you know, I'm going to take the expertise and knowledge of experience that they have and use the lubricant that comes with the kit. Okay, getting into some bigger boxes now. Let's see here. There's a mod to move the NFC someplace useful, because behind the machines. You know, I could see being behind this machine, if you don't have access behind, how that could be a bit annoying down under Maker. Let's see here. Armor. Let's see. Did I get the camera? So, armor, I did not purchase the camera or the filter with this kit. I am going pretty bare bones as usual, because I figured if I want to sit here and do those things later, I can do it the place where these printers are going to be staying in the long term. I don't have to worry too much about filtering, because it is a pretty well ventilated area. So, our door handle, and that looks like our frames and everything. So I'm going to keep those in there for now, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting to those frames here pretty soon. Let's see here. Just going Core 1 plus Perky Cat, yeah. Let's see here. You think you must have something that works to move the NFC reader to the spool holder? That would be a nice little mod, so it's like right there on the side, so you can, as you put it on, it reads. The big thing I would be concerned about that is if the NFC reader is there, is as the spool, depending on, guys, I'm pretty sure they use a solid loop, so you know it's constantly picking it up, because NFC is constantly broadcasting. Well, constantly broadcasting and constantly powering through that wireless power mechanism. So we have some more metal parts. This is covers, and things of that nature. Again, this is pretty nicely packaged. I don't know if I'd be able to get it back in the packaging, so I don't want to take those all the way out. Let's see here. You're going from 90 square feet to about 500 square feet, Howie. I must have missed something back there. Let's see here. That armor, you have the camera on the L and the C1 Plus, and you're very satisfied with them. Yes, eventually I probably am going to want to put a camera on this, just because, you know, 3D printer. I'd like to be able to see what I'm printing sometimes, because won't always be around them. So in here, ooh, this is an interesting thing. So the Core XY parts and hinges, you know, they give you the belts and everything. That looks like a carriage. Some more, are these? Yep, some more linear bearings already enclosed. But then up on the top of the box, they actually utilize that as well. And that's where they put the bed. So that is actually a very clever packing solution, so that way it's all in one box, but the bed actually gets that little bit of extra added protection because it has another layer of cardboard around it. So that's a very nice little feature here. I just cleaned off my desk and now it's covered in boxes. Let's see here. Shop space. Howie, I can agree, I can commiserate with that. We are sitting here, as I mentioned earlier, for those that weren't here, we are working on getting a bigger studio, so we have room to spread out because this is a very small room that we are in right now. Let's see here. We have printed parts. That is indeed some printed parts. Would you guys like to see the printed parts, or would you like me to move on to the next box? I will sit here and wait for that. Let's see here. You wish A3DP was busy enough to be making it worthwhile to get your own location. Armor, one day. Let's see here. You'd love to build a new shed as your shop office instead of using the basement and have it insulated and 4-season ready. Armor, I would just love to have a basement. Those don't exist here. All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, Armor says just get on to building it. What do you guys say? You want me to just get on to building it? Hey, James, can you put a poll up?
No.
Kirkman, that's actually pretty accurate. You build a basement in Florida, you just have a well. I know that there's a few places that I've been to that have, like, I'll call them semi-basements, where it's like a little crawl space underneath, where it's big enough for you to stand up, but that might be like a little 5x5 room, and that's just to make it so you can stand up so you can get access to a crawl space under the house. Okay. And ooh. This is why the box was so heavy. Metal Parts Box 1. Ugh. Hey, James. Oh, come on, camera, but grab that from me. You got it? Okay, and Metal Parts Box 1. So yeah, just a crawl space for V0 then. Yeah, pretty much. They are some of the things that they call crawl spaces here in Florida are not very friendly to people my size. Gergman, you're not the only one that wants him on camera, but it is his choice whether or not he wants to be on camera. He does like to be, he is a very private person. And so I'm not the one to force him on camera if he ever decides to. He can, but if he doesn't want to, I'm happy having someone that'll edit my videos and sit here and make sure I sound nice. It lets me get into the rhythm of actually sitting here and learning how to pay attention to chat and talk to you guys while I'm doing all this. All right, so let's get these kind of out of the way. I don't think we're going to need the plexi or the PEI sheet anytime soon, so we're going to get that entirely off the desk. Oh, and silly me, I was so excited to build the thing, I never opened up the Mountain Dew this time. We're doing Baja Blast. John Doe, how you doing? All right. So let me sit down here for a little bit. And James, can we go big on the computer? So I've gone to the Core 1 support page. This is where you get the online manual. The manual they send with the printer is a printed version of this, but you know, I do like the way that the online manual breaks this down. So let's go to our Assemble the Prusa Core 1 Plus Begin Assembly. So they start with an introduction going over tools and things of that nature. Now, I'm looking to see, it goes over how to use the manual. And so you can see it's just a click next and it goes through. Okay, so the tools in the package, they can be found in the electronics and fastener box. Let's see here. That's rods. That's electronics. That's electronics and chamber parts. That's metal parts. That's the motor kit. That's metal parts too. That's Core XY hinges, printed parts, electronics and fasteners. So let's get our tools out of here. And they are conveniently kind of right there on top, all packaged in a nice, neat little package. So that was simple. All I had to do was find a box. And this is one of the things I do like. They tell you exactly what box to look for when you're doing it. What was that, James?
They also have numbers on them.
Yep, so telling you what parts we're getting, but does anybody need to see the difference between a Torx key and a hex key? Well, the good news is the next page will show you. So in this kit, apparently we use a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5, and a 3mm hex, a T6, a T8, and a T10, but they also give you a T10 driver, which will be nice. I won't have to bust out the iFixit kit for that. Going on to our next page, additional guides. They're saying you're going to want a towel or a piece of cloth for wiping preservative oils from the smooth rods. I happen to have both. Still have our microfiber cloths, as well as our lint-free shop rags. Scissors for cutting a bag with bearings. Well, I don't have scissors, but I do have a razor blade, so go there. Let's see here. Howie, you need animal pictures. Car part matches cat part. I am missing you there. Printer granimals. Okay. John Doe, you want to see a bitchy in under an hour? I don't know if we'll quite get there, but we'll sit here. Yeah, so scissors, the lubricant, which is included in the kit somewhere. They haven't told me where that is yet, but I'm pretty sure when we need it, they'll let us know where it is. And it does show how most of the bags in here do have labels on them telling you what they are. And they have it, if you aren't very good at telling, screw sizes and things like that, they've included a nice little cheat sheet that you can actually pull up and print out. So for those of you that have paper printers. Yes, I know we're some of the few that still have them. Let's see here. Yep, so yeah, I definitely know I need the lubricant for the next extruder. Might need some for the linear rods and the linear rails. Also what they'll do is they show here in the introduction, spare fasteners are included. So if one of the fasteners happen to be bad or something like that, they do include it. And the number of pieces they put on the bag includes the spares in that number. So like, for instance, this one says, hey, there's 44 pieces, but that's not 44 pieces plus the spares. It's 44 pieces including the spares. Let's see here. Philium is also for Philip. Armor, I'm going to need a citation needed on that one. Let's see. Put a box turtle on it and you're good. Who needs the paper PLA printout? Well, some people might need it because, Cody, I know you, from what I understand, you built a lot of printers, but there are new people that it could be helpful for. So, they do apparently have 24/7 live chat over here in the comments or on their website that you can use if you need help. So, or you can write an email if you need help.
And at this rate, we're not going to get anything done tonight.
To give you some little tips on handling electronics. Telling you about installing add-ons, how you're going to use a different one. So, okay. We're on to the first chapter of building. So in this one, it says we're going to need the wrench, a 2.4 Allen key, and T10 Torx. So I've got to go into the big metal parts one, and we're going to get the bottom panel out.
Everything's erased. We speed run here.
Nah, we have fun here. Okay. Well, I would definitely say that's not our bottom panel there.
See, Down Under Maker gets me.
That does not look like our bottom panel either. This heavy thing. That looks like our bottom panel. That is definitely our bottom panel. So we have a bottom panel. Let's take and move the big heavy box out of the build area. I have a feeling we're going to be coming back to that fairly soon. Just be very careful, because even though it's black, I still don't want to scratch it. Is Phil sitting down? Okay. So the next thing we're going to need is we're going to need to go back into that electronics and fasteners box, which of course I buried all the way down to the bottom, and pull out our zip ties. That's cool. 2 packages of zip ties that are the same size. Gonna keep that electronics and fastener one off to the side here. That's gonna go on the bottom. That's metal parts too, and printed parts gonna go there. We have our zip ties. Let's see here. Turn the bottom panel so that they're facing up, just like we have it. Okay. And then we're going to be putting some zip ties through some holes that are already there. So there's actually 8 sets of holes on this, but we're only going to be using 6 of them right now. And then they're saying we're going to insert these through. Okay, just trying to get these through here. And which way do we want to go with this? We are going to actually flip those the other way, because I think they're going to be easier to pull in than they will to pull towards that little lip. So we're just going to get these started, but they say to start it, just don't tighten them down. So we're going to get those down to the inside, inner more hole, and out through the outer one, and just go until I hear that click on them. Wait, it's sitting down and I don't want you to trip and fall. What do you do? Uh-oh. Armor, do you have news that's gonna shock Phil? Okay, so we've got those in on that side. Now we get to do the same thing on the other side. So we're just going to go through. Let's see, not going to lie, if you were sitting assembled core 1 instead of the kit that was mentioned as the prize, I can say this is, you know, building one of these, it's kind of nice so far. I haven't done, as James says, I haven't really done much, but, you know, looking at the quality of the manual, how everything's nice and packaged, it's actually really nice. Armor, that is huge news. We need to stop the presses and sit here and get that news out. Armor used flux. I think at this point, you know, I know down under there have been quite a few people that have been telling Armor, use flux, use flux. Well, he's used flux, so he can officially form opinion on which way he prefers better. Okay, so now what we need is we need our motors boxes. Our motor boxes. So we have our motor kit. And we are going to need the two that say Z-axis left and right. So Z-axis left, Z-axis right. And let's see here. Z-axis. Okay, this is actually, so Armor, I think I might have found an error in the manual because it's saying all three of these Z motors are in the motor. Let's see here. One says the motor kit box, and it says only one of them is actually in the motor kit box, and it says the two left motors. Let's see here. Nope, there we go. The line below. One Z-axis motor is packaged separately in the electronics and chambers parts.
We're so good at reading around here.
I can read. All right. So there's our last motor. Now they are saying, let's see here. Now we need to find the electronics and chamber box. Nope, we're already in that box. You find let's see here, the motor washers. Which are these right here. Those are clear. And then we need to go into our printed parts box and find the Z motor mounts, which are right here on top. Very conveniently done. Now, let's see here. So that should be our two Z rod mounts. Yep. Our Z motor mounts. Yep. Our motor washers, which we found there. And we need to go into the fastener box. Here. And we need to grab our M3 by 8s, it says. Fastener 3 of 3, which is this bag right here. M3 by 12, M3 by 4, M3 by 8. Those are Torx. Is there regular M3 by 8s or is it just the... Okay. M3 by 8s. These are the ones we need, not the Torx ones. Let me get this package back up here. Get that out of the way. That goes back in that box. So we can kind of keep track of everything. So it shows us the pieces we need. Okay. So it's saying try to rotate the threaded rods on each motor just to make sure that they're not completely blocked in rotation. All of those are rotating freely. Attach one transparent. So I don't know how well this is going to show up, but that right there is our transparent motor washers, and there's one for each. So 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. Let's read the next step. Place one Z motor mount on each washer. The protrusions on the part must be facing up. So yeah, on these motor mounts, there's a flat side and a side with the protrusions. They want the protrusion side up. So just place one of these on each one. Okay. Then we're gonna align them with the holes in 3, I believe. It should be 2 millimeter. Are we 2? Nope, we're 2.5 millimeter. Yep. All right. So with this, they go in each of the corners. And then just a little bit of advice for those that haven't done something like this before, you don't want to tighten down all the way. Get all of yours in before you start putting any kind of torque at all on these screws. That way you can make sure you've got everything lined up and you don't sit here and cross thread anything, because even though some of you here like to cross thread as nature's Loctite, you don't want, not the best thing. Let's see here. See, we're still talking about how Arbor used flux. Let's see here. Down Under has a hot air station, a bunch of other high-end electronics and gears on orders. You'll convert him over to the Cult of Flux. Okay, so we've got these all in there. We're gonna get them kind of tight. We're gonna go in a cross pattern. Let's see here. Yeah, Cody, if you cross thread, those screws definitely won't be coming out by vibrations or you. Granted, if you ever need to replace them, then you've just completely ruined that part. So then, especially like on here, you'd be buying whole new motors or retapping. All right, we'll get that out of the way. We'll move this in its place. Okay, just going and getting the first screw started. Let's see here. An old toothbrush and ISO will make them look super pro streamer. Oh, for cleaning up the flux and solder points, yeah. Isopropyl is everyone's friend, I think. It cleans up most things. Or, if not cleans up, allows you to spread around the mess so it can't be seen by the naked eye. Alright, so we've got 2 of the screws in. We're going for the 3rd. I am trying to sit here and make it so James doesn't have to keep telling me to keep talking. I'm trying to get better at this part. So we'll see how I do on this. I can say, for those of you that don't do this, it can feel a bit awkward where you're just sitting in here talking to yourself. Kind of makes you feel a little crazy, but
you are crazy, so it's fine.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would have to agree. I'm a bit crazy. So we're just going through and doing that cross pattern again. We're not going too tight because while the metal housing on the motor and the screws will be fine, the printed part and the looks like plexiglass or something in between for that washer might not. Cody, you know, if you feel like talking, that would be greatly appreciated. So, you know, that would be great. So these little black squares, they say are the motor mounts, and going ahead in the manual, this is what these screws that go through this base plate are going to screw into to keep these motors mounted onto the bottom plate and prevent them from just rotating.
That way the rods can twist to bring the bed up and down while the bottom stays in place.
Yep. Let's see here. Mad Dog, you do structural steel detailing. It's a job required specification to talk and yell at yourself all day. You know, I do IT work during the day, and so most of the time, by the time I either have a very curious client if I'm talking, or I'm talking to myself trying to work my way through a problem, and then my clients look at me like I'm crazy. So but at the same time, it's a bit different when I'm doing that. Digital, yeah, we've got a Core 1 Plus kit here that we're building. Welcome on in. So we sat here, and for those of you that are just joining us or didn't join us at the beginning, we went to do the tuning on the Voron, and between clicky and some other problems, we'd sit here and I'd set Z offsets and everything, and they just wouldn't stick. So kind of finally came down to the conclusion, hey, you know, we need a better mesh system and all that. So I am going to be adding Cardo to it to get that up and working. But the big thing with Cardo is I need to print parts to change out carriages and stuff like that, or I'm probably going to be buying Fabrico's Honey Badger aluminum carriage, but then I still need to print spacers to get Cardo on there. Well, kind of need a printer to do that. So my original plan was to get that Voron up and going. Hey, we got it printing, and then we're going to print the parts for the next project on it. Well, when you run into problems like I was running into, you kind of can't print on that. So it was okay. The fracks that we were going to do next now it gets put to the side because I need a printer that's going to be reliable that I can just print with. And so I had already had this waiting for the next project. So it was kind of, hey, let's just move this project up a bit so we can get a printer that will reliably print, and that will allow me to start other projects and print the parts I need for the Voron.
I need all of you to say I told you so about the Carto right now.
Okay. I mean, I know Down Under Maker's been telling me that since day one and so has Tom, or Cybertech as he goes here in chat. So Digital Dragon CNC Tap was another one that I was thinking about doing, but I already have the cartographer waiting. I actually purchased it almost as we started the build, so you know, kind of determined that's where we're going to go. So for this one, for the next step, it's saying to specifically locate, sorry about the loud noise, this front hole that's in between these two cutouts. And they're saying that is the back side of the panel. So then our next step is we're going to look for our Z-axis right. That's our Z-axis left, Z-axis right, and Z-axis left. So our Z-axis right is going to go in here. And Cody, you were asking earlier, so you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there are 4 holes around where the threaded rod goes through, and that matches up with those little protrusions on the top. So this is going to get up through that. And then they are saying specifically to make sure that your stepper motor cable feeds away from it out towards they're calling this the back. And then they're saying to take the other 2 and saying put those at the bottom panel. Now, okay, good. The cables are both the same length, so I don't have to worry about that. So we're gonna rotate it so it's like the picture for me. And then it's saying, like the picture, we want the cable going towards these cutouts. I do apologize about the loud noises, metal on metal. I'm trying not to, but sometimes there's only so much you can do for that. Okay. We've got our 3 Z motors in. Our next step. So apparently, back here where these cutouts are, that is going to be the rear of the printer. And it says begin by securing from the back, so this motor here. And we're going to take some more M3x8s. And we're just making sure our holes line up here. I'm going to get it started. And our hole may not have been lined up there. If we can get one started, that'll be good because I can use that as a pivot point. we're going to grab okay, let's see here. So we're going here. It's not okay, so it's not terrible on the noise. That is good to know. Give James credit for that because he's the one that has set up the audio system on this. So if it's not sounding scratchy or anything like that, you guys can thank him for setting up the noise cancellation and things of that nature. Okay, so we're getting this started. So we have that, feels like it's biting in. So that's 2 of the 4. Let's see. Armor 3, you can agree on tap. You never like tap. You found it's unreliable. You prefer a rigid tool head. Yeah, everything seems to have its own little quirks and gimmicks, but that's, you know, I'd heard good things about Cardo, so I figured, hey, I had a chance to get one, let me get one. Okay, so we're getting the last screw in, and then we're gonna have fun. There we go. Now that that's in, let me switch over to the straight driver. And we're just gonna tighten these down. Ugh. Just going through here. But yeah, eventually I might do tap. From what I understand, because eventually one of the things I want to do is like stealth burner, and I guess I can use Cardo or beacon on stealth burner, so that'll be a nice little thing. But if I can't, you know, we might switch out to tap. Let's see, down under, you've ordered a WAN P-Tech ESP 6205 power supply and an Axon H312 hot air station. You can do some hardcore soldering of MCU boards to repair and upgrade. Hey, down under, that might make a nice little stream setup. You know, I know Louis Rossman, I haven't watched his channel in a bit, but I know he used to do board repair. That might be a nice little niche to cover in the 3D printing community. I can bet that hand soldering capacitors would be pretty terrible. Okay. I'm just going through and making sure that these are just tight enough that they're getting kind of difficult to turn, but not so tight that they're slipping and stripping out the plastic, because we are screwing into plastic below these. That is nice and good. Yep, and they even say to make sure you screw them in nice and straight, as well as don't over tighten the screws as they're threading directly to plastic. All right, so our next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be grabbing our Z rod mounts. And these, apparently, there are some, I don't know if you guys can see it, there are some keys on here, and the printed parts are keyed, so they go in with the keys and then just press in. And then we take our wrench and apparently rotate them 90 degrees. To lock them in. I keep hearing the gong sound every time I hit this little plate with something metal. Let's see here. Gergman, you bought an Eddy to put on your Informax eventually, surprising the Seaboard boom kit. You just purchased for very inexpensive. Looks like it has tap. All right. Parky's agreeing that tap is pretty good. Jeff, you had problems with hot air soldering with solder paste and ended up just making a mess. Yeah. Bad Dog, I'll agree with down under there. With solder paste and flux and all that, a little goes a very long way. Okay, so now we're going to screw even more screws in. So let me try to get that lined up there. I'm going to get them started here. We got one started. We're going to use that as the pivot. And then get the opposite side started. Okay, there we go. That looks like it's lined up now. Yeah, there we go. That's lined up now. And now that those two are lined up, that should, in theory, line up the other two. Which that one lined up pretty well. John Doe, I don't think we're going to hit your mark for getting a Benchy printed on this thing. Okay, so we're just going to tighten these down. This is where I really do want one of those automatic screwdrivers.
Get one.
Eventually. Eventually, I'll get one of those automatic ones. Let's see here. Yeah, soldering too hot can also give you problems. Like Down Under Maker is saying. I remember using a hot air station. The way I learned that soldering too hot can be bad is I was trying to unsolder one piece and 3 other capacitors nearby it started unsoldering. Just because I had it way too hot. Then I finally get everything unsoldered and it turns out I just fried the board because of too much heat. So, if frying the board because it doesn't tell you you're too hot, or scratch that, reverse it. If 3 pieces unsoldering at the same time doesn't tell you you're too hot, the board being fried definitely confirmed that I was too hot. So we're just going through and getting these tightened in. I am taking some of the warnings that Down Under has been saying in his stream lately, where he's been screwing stuff into plastic, where he had gotten a repetitive strain injury from screwing, just making sure that I'm trying to share the load between multiple muscles, because my vacation is cleaning out what's going to be our future studio, and the last thing I want is my partner to find out that, hey, I can't do work and do this stuff that I took a vacation on because I sat here and hurt myself streaming. Armor, thanks for stopping in. You have a great night. Let's see here. Gergbang, the Mark 4S took you about 14 hours to put together. Yeah, we should be able to get a few streams out of this. We're gonna have some fun with this. I'm gonna probably try to shoot for 3 hours for tonight, because I know a lot of that was taken up by, initial introductions, going through and doing the unboxing. Mad Dog, I think you are sitting here and taking another meaning of the word screwing.
There's more than one?
Down Under Maker 3D and T is Timu Dave. I thought 3D and T was Dave and Armor 3D was David.
Alright, I gotta know, Down Under, is there anything that you actually do like in the 3D printing community? Because every time someone says something, you have something that's bad to say about it.
I can say something he likes in the 3D printing community. He likes CAN bus. Yeah, Down Under Maker really does like CAN bus. Okay, so we're getting our screws in here. Let's see, Down Under Maker, that's the standard CM1 Pi option. Let's see. Okay, John Doe, you're getting your DZ01 from Big Tree Tech from KB3D. Congratulations. Linux is hard for some people, John Doe. For some, they just kind of gravitate towards it. Others, it seems like they have to completely flip their way of thinking to grasp it, and others just, there's no hope of grasping. So, James, Down Under has a message for you. So I'll let James read that message from Down Under, and if he wants to reply, he can reply.
Of course you know, Down Under, I'm just giving you a static. Obviously I don't know anything about 3D printing. That's, again, why I'm over here, so it's just fun.
Okay, so we're getting these last little ones tightened up. All right. So we're good there. Let's move on to our next step. I have a feeling we're going to be kind of skipped ahead and step. It's, hey, now do this one. And then it's, build this. Now take this and put it aside. All right. Bergman, I'm a Fedora person myself. I actually started learning Linux with CentOS, believe it or not. And that turned into, hey, I just kind of knew how Fedora worked. Though a lot of my servers at home are running Ubuntu, not because I want to, but because the particular software that I want to run, they only made, I didn't want to sit here and compile from source, so the only pre-compiled package or anything like that was in Ubuntu, so that forced some of my servers on Ubuntu.
Heck, it's not just the internet that runs on Linux, the world runs on Linux. I mean, if we didn't have Linux, it would be a lot more difficult for electric companies to do basically anything that they do.
There's toasters out there that run on Linux. And, you know, I'm all for getting Linux into everything. But, you know, I don't know why we need Linux in a toaster. But when they say Linux can run on anything, I don't know if you guys have heard this term, but there's a term of a potato computer, which just means like a really low spec computer. No. They've actually gotten Linux to run on a potato.
Well, we need a Linux on a toaster so that we can have AI on a toaster. And of course we need AI on a toaster because people say so. The corporate people tell me I need it, so I must need it.
How else are you going to print your face on a piece of toast? And then put Vegemite on it? Howie, Microslop has sat here and fallen very far downhill. Like, I remember my first version of Windows was 3.1. It had its bugs, but DOS, its underlying thing, actually wasn't that bad. It ran pretty good, but then they started messing with things. Oh, at this point, I don't think there's a thing that they haven't gotten doomed to run on, Caleb. I mean, like Gergman says, every Android phone is Linux based. Technically, Mac OS and iOS are Nix based. They were originally based on Unix BSD, but then it's forked enough that it's kind of become its own little thing. Yep, Windows 3.1, 3.11 for workgroups. Okay, so now it's giving us a warning to be careful of very sharp part when handling sharp sheet metal to avoid injury or damage. Okay, so we need to go into the metal parts box 1 again. I'm gonna put you up there for now. Okay. Let's grab metal parts box 1. And I need to apparently grab, not that. Not those pieces. Look at me. I'm using a trash can. Makes it so much easier to use in the trash can instead. But that won't go in the trash can, so that's gonna knock all my stickers on the floor. Okay, so we have these two pieces, it looks like, and those ones are identical. These are the universal ones. So be careful if you are building one of these, be careful. There are 3 corner pieces for the 4 corners. 2 of them look like they're the same. The other 2 have cutouts and things of that nature on them. And those might not even be the pieces I need, because below that box are 4 corner pieces. So based on the fact, but okay, are these even the right ones? Nope, those aren't the ones I need either, it looks like. Are there more metal pieces in here? There's a whole nother layer. There are a lot of pieces. Okay. That right there with the cutout for what looks like almost like a screen, those are the... That is definitely one I need. Then it's saying I should need another one that's that size, but it has holes. There's nothing under there. Ah. So yes, this one that has holes on it, we need one of those. And then we need 2 of these that have no holes. We're going to take our last one that had the hole and put it back in. Put that back in there. Knowing this, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot, because I bet as soon as I'm done with this, it's going to be, hey, now you're going to need the other ones, and I'm going to have to go unbury them. But this right here makes it a bit easier to work on right now. So I'm going to get these packaged back up so I can get this back below the desk. Okay. So then I need the electronics and fastener package, which I put the base on top of. Now we're going to need the spacer, which that does not tell us what package this is in. So I'm going to read the front here and see if this lists spacers. It's not in that one. Black screw, nylon rivet. But they specifically call it a spacer. Let's see. There's collets. There's spacers in here. That's where they would be. Small parts and fasteners bag. That has our nylon, I guess, spacers. And let's see here. Then we need M3x4 Torx screws. So let's find where these M3x4 Torx are. Well, that's M3x4T, but I need M3x4RT. M3x4RT is apparently in this bag. So let's get our M3x8s in here, back in the bag. If for no other reason, so I know what they are by looking at the packaging instead of having to measure them. Okay. M3x25, M3x4T, M3x20R, OC, rivet, M3x4, M3x5. I did read that right, correct? No, that is the wrong bag. Okay. Spoiler, there's even more underneath. Oh, good lord. Down under, I wish I had looked up earlier, because I could have used that spoiler. Let's see here. M3x4RT. There we are. Okay. So it's saying to grab one of the universal ones, which is the one without the holes, without the cutouts. So we've got the universal one. And then we need ours with the cutouts on the side here. And what it's telling us to be careful of is on the universal ones, there's this little tab up here. We want to make sure that is facing away from this. So we want these tabs to line, the tab that's on this piece to line up with the corner there. So let's see here. It says attach the profiles together. So the tab, it's also saying make sure it goes under the other profile. So the tab on this one, you want under this one. It's specifically giving you warning, make sure it's not on top. And then we need to take one of our Torx. How you doing, Nemesis? Welcome on in. Welcome to the fun project. Okay, so let's grab our Torx driver here. That is the correct size. It's going to go through like so. This is where I wish I had a third hand. But we got that in, so sorry that was off screen, but it just goes in there. And we screw it down. Just kind of keeping an eye on it. You have the same shirt? Yeah. I do like the Mandalorian, though. Ahsoka is my favorite character, so. I remember when Rebels came out, they were all, let's see here. You're trying to keep a cold at bay. Well, Nemesis, I hope you feel better. Feeling sick's never a good thing. Okay, so our next one is we need to grab that little metal piece that has the 2 holes in it. And you know what? Let me move the fastener thing here. We're going to take this and move it entirely aside. That way I can do this for you guys. So our next one is we're going to take the one that has the 2 holes in the top. And it's going to go and attach to that piece. Sorry for the rod in my face. That's the easiest place to put that right now. So we're just going to tighten that up. Make sure those are nice and tight. I will say the screwdriver that Prusa sends with it has a magnetic tip. That is nice. This is the way. Parky Cat, I can get along with this is the way. Lol Sync, we have not hit the first gummy stage yet. I think we're almost there. Okay. According to the picture, place the rear profile with 2 holes. Is this saying that we're doing our last one here? Okay, so yeah, now we're doing our last one. Where did I put? There's our last one. So then this one we have to kind of be careful because we need to kind of weave it in there. Because on this one we need the new extrusion to be on top, but on the other side we need to be underneath. I love magnetic drivers. They make things so easy at times. Okay, so we're getting the last screw in here. Got to get it lined up so it'll actually thread in. There we go. And we are threaded. We're going to give these a little bit of torque. Not too much, but we do want to make sure that those are nice and firm. Okay. When it's done, it's saying, hey, tighten those, which we just did. Now it's saying we need to take our little spacers, and that is showing one goes in. So on the side that has the cutouts that look like it's going to be for the screen, there are 2 holes on it. One spacer goes in one. And I think the other spacer goes in the other. Spacer's in. And now we have to go to the electronics and chamber package and find Zephyrhills. And we're gonna need some more of those M3 4R Torques. Saying face the cutout side, which is this side right here, towards us. Before applying the anti-vibration feet, wipe the metal profiles with isopropyl alcohol. All right, well, let me see how they're going to be putting these on. So yes, they are on the outside, so we'll give these a wipe down with some ISO. Yay, it smells funny in here now. Okay. Technically, Nemesis, I did just put plastic. Push plastic. Maybe not the kind you want, but we did just push plastic in with the printer. Bergman, if you are a fan of Boba Fett, if you've never heard it, go listen to MC Chris, Fett's Vet. It is a really interesting song. He actually does a song for every bounty hunter, or every major bounty hunter from the original trilogy. Okay, so we're just gonna peel off the feet here. Now I know that Joel, the 3D printing nerd, just did a whole video about these feet not wanting to stick, and he made his own little, printed out his own little feet that also raised them up, which we may do eventually, but for now we are just going to use the way that they come and stick them down. Let's see here. Down under. No benchy. And Nemesis, no, I did not sit here and commit chemical warfare. James can tell you if that had happened, he would have known, and he would have probably sat here and yelled at me and into the stream early so that way he could sit here and get out of this room. Okay. Well, you guys know I like talking about movies and everything while we're doing this. Has anybody seen any good movies lately? Hey, the Mad Owl, how you doing? Welcome on in. But yeah, has anybody seen any good movies recently? Jamie. Oh, yeah. Nemesis, ISO. ISO makes everything spell funny. Okay. All right. So our next thing to do is to flip everything over. Again, we're keeping that one with the cutouts that look like they're for the screen facing towards us. Next. Oh, hey, we get to sit here and put the piece that we built earlier into this thing finally. So what it's saying is we need to sit here and make sure It's going to go in like so, but we need to make sure that everything is inside our frame here, like that. Now, the big question is why is that sitting proud, but that side's not? Am I up on something? Let's see if they give a thing, because let's see here. So Matt L, we're building a Core 1 Plus. I wish I could be building a Core 1L, but they don't make a kit for the Core 1L. Mad Dog, I wouldn't be drinking ISO instead of Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is life. Bergman, did you just go listen to that MC Chris song? Nemesis, we actually enjoyed the live action How to Train Your Dragon. But we also enjoy the entire movies. We just finished watching the third movie for How to Train Your Dragon. Okay, so this is saying to slowly lower this into place. There must be something that we're going to do later, because oh nope, even their thing is showing it's sitting flush up top but below in the back. So Matt L, you have two C1 Pluses kits to build. Yeah, it's actually been, I could say the manuals for this are actually really nice. So they make so we don't have any pinch cables. Let's see here. Also saying make sure that the top is entirely inside, which we are. All right, so it wants us to focus on the front right corner. So it's saying slightly lift one of the corners of the panel. Well, that's an interesting thing, because, okay, I need to get, I don't have a good way of showing you guys this, but there's holes all around the outside of here, and there's holes in this. And they're saying I've got to match these holes up, but it's a good centimeter off. So this is going to be fun.
It doesn't look like the back.
The back sits down a bit.
I'm saying it looks like the back where the that top part there, which is the one with a single pole coming out of it, should be, from what I'm seeing, on your left side rather than on the where it is now.
I just rotated it. But if you look on the picture there, they've rotated it again, and I'm focusing on the screw that's in front of me.
It's sitting down into it.
Yeah, it even showed it that way on their manual. Okay. Well, you can see here. Bearded, yep, we are building a core 1. And we are at a point where it's telling us to line up screws, and aha! There are 2 holes. So while it looks like what I can do, let me pull this up. There are 2 holes in this, and it's this bottom hole that we need to line up. That is making more sense than the other hole that I was seeing. Okay. That is making a lot more sense now. Okay, we've got the first one in. Let's see here. Let's see, your Nemesis, you keep going back between and forth between on a core 1. You don't need it, but you'd like to build. So if you have to work on it, you know how to take it apart. But you also want to do a V0, but don't need another one. Nemesis, I can say, you know, so far, the reason I went with the core 1 over the core 1L is I did want a kit that I could actually build. And so far, I can say manual wise, it has been amazing. Most, if I've messed up at all, it's because I didn't read something or I didn't read ahead far enough. Like for instance here, if I had read a bit farther ahead or clicked the next photo, I would have seen, oh, there's another hole in this. Okay, so we've got those 2 in. And now it's saying move to the other side. And we're going to do our other 2 holes. But yeah, I will say if there had been a Core 1L kit, that's what we would be building right now. But unfortunately, there isn't one. Why there's not, you know, I've heard different theories on it, and I don't work for Prusa, so I cannot say. But I do hope that one day we get a kit for it. Okay, so we've got our 3rd corner in, and now we have 1 more to do over here. Okay. Yeah, down under, that is one of the reasons I've heard is about, you know, in the EU, people not being allowed to mess with mains wiring. Yeah, if we can one day get kit, that will be nice for the Core 1L. Okay, so then we've got more to do on the front and back. But I will say that little step of, hey, do these outside ones first, does make it nice because then these other ones just line up, so they're using that to key everything in to make the rest of them nice and easy, and it helps square it up a bit. Okay. Oh. That. I don't think they told me to do the back ones. That's the side. There's the back. Yep, I just missed that step. Okay, let me... Just trying to get this thing started. Let me rotate it so I can see. Sorry about this, guys. We're gonna get the one side going. We're gonna try a different screw because that one, it doesn't seem to be liking on either side, and these do look like they're lined up, so. Yep, I think that was just a bad screw. Thankfully, they do include spares for if something like that happens. See here. Jeff, it's gonna be, let's see here. You had to step pushing plastic. Yeah, Jeff, we're definitely not going to be pushing plastic tonight. There will probably be a few streams of us doing this before we get to the point of pushing plastic. Bergman, I could do that, but then I also have my sanity to think about. So, wouldn't be able to do that. Let's see here. We're going to go to our next step. And, hey, we got to our first reward. So apparently, I get 5 gummy bears. I will take my reward. Oh, down under, the ADHD is strong with me. Oh, hey, the happy extruder, welcome on in. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got our first 5 gummy bears. But down under, I prefer to say that I have ADOS, which is attention deficit. Ooh, shiny. Okay.
Those are the wrong colors.
Colors don't matter on that. The packages are assembled randomly.
I'm talking about the colors of the gummy bears, you know.
Haribo packages are not uniform. Okay, so we just built this entire thing. And now it's put the thing aside. What is our next thing going to be grabbing out? Next chapter. I'm kind of curious real quick. How many chapters are there? There are 4 assembly chapters and an introduction. Chapters. Okay. I was sitting here debating on, hey, 1 chapter a stream, but then I'm like, no, when we get to the belts and all that, that could take a bit longer. So let's go on to the next chapter. So for this one, we're going to need screwdriver, the 2 wrenches, and the needle nose pliers, as well as the T10 hex and the 2.5 millimeter Allen. Okay.
I want you all to notice how he didn't give me any gummy bears. Just putting that out there.
Calling me out like that. I knew you weren't getting gummy bears. I had plans. Now I'm not going to do the plans. Ugh. Okay. So, where is... I need the power supply.
Exactly right. Jerky McJerk face.
Bergman, what he didn't tell you is he's coming over to help set up the studio for us tomorrow. And I'm buying him... buying all the food tomorrow.
Okay, but that was the transaction for helping out with the studio, not the transaction for helping tonight.
We are getting some nice Cuban food tomorrow. I still do like the fact that this is an all black power supply. It's a little tiny detail, but it's nice. Okay. So, we've got our power supply, and I hope this is a switching power supply. Because I do not see, okay, input 110 to 240. Because there is not... So not one of those little switches to switch from 110 to 220. So I'm guessing it's a self-switching power supply. So we need M4 by 6R. Those are M3s. And that's in fastener bag 3 of 3. Fastener 3 of 3. M4 by 6R screws should be in here. Let's see here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're okay. Howie, I hope your head feels better. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for the parts and the banana for scale. Those that did not see what Howie sent, we have a calibrated banana now. So we have a calibrated banana for scale. Yeah, right now, Gergman, I have plenty of power for a big printer. I don't have room for another big printer. Okay, M4 by 6R. We have those. Okay. We need the X-Buddy power cable, which are the little red cables found in the electronics package, which is this one. Buddy cable and the power panic cable, which are all in here. Cool. All right, so we've got those cables. So it's saying insert 2 of the M4 into this. Okay, we've got a side that does not have screws in it, so we will insert them there. It says leave at least 4 millimeters gap in between the screw head and the PSU. Okay. Let's get this tightened in. Let me look at chat here. Gergman, you have 9 printers and trying to get a modded Infor Max printing. Otherwise, you're getting a Solvo Max. That Solvo Max does look like it might be a very nice printer. See. Night, Brad. Have a good one. Just plug it in and release the pixie smoke. You know, as much as you guys would, as much as the engagement I would get for having blue pixie smoke, you know, released on stream, I don't want to release the pixies. They can stay in here. Yeah, the pixies, I'd like to sit here and stay in the electronics. I don't want to release them. Okay, so it's just telling us to loosen these, but they are giving you the warning, which you can definitely tell that they are sitting here. They have met some people out in the world and saying, hey, loosen the terminals. Don't remove them. Okay, the following we will be connecting power cables one by one. So it is also telling you, hey, when you're connecting these power cables, there are 2 ends of them. There are forks and rings. We're going to be using the forks. Okay. That's to note. Okay. So I'll loosen this up some. And wow, that is a very tight fit in there. Okay, positive is in, and the way this power supply goes, you have a positive, positive, negative, negative. So we're just loosening up some more. Now that's in, we're going to tighten it back down. I will say, for those that are building this, you have to get that fork very square on to the terminal, because the little spacing where the terminals are is just wide enough for that fork to fit in there. Okay, so we're tightening down our last negative terminal. So we've got our 2 negatives and our 2 positives connected. Okay. And it says the red cable positive may have a black stripe on it. Similarly, the black cable negative may have a red stripe on it. In this case, they're all solid red and solid black, so we don't have to worry too much about confusion there. All right, take the red wire with the 4 connector, put it in. Use the second. All right, and then we're going to take the power panic cable, and we have 2 ends. We have a white, almost looks like a JST connector, and then a black DuPont. And the black one is going to go plug into the power supply, and it locks in. Mike, you've arrived. Okay. Mike, here you go. There's your hair tie. Let's see here. So happy extruder, they add some extra terminal screws just in case. Hey, I will say so far they really have thought of a lot of things in this prusa kit. So I've been happy with it. Happy extruder, you have to move, so workshop going up at the next home site. Wife said all the printers out in the garage. Yeah. Out of the garage. Ah, your wife wants, hey, that's kind of cool. Here's a shed for your 3D printing. You have your own private space. All right, so we just did all of that, and it says, now take this and just put it to the side. It does like us doing that, of here's all this, now move it away. Okay, so now we need the Core 1 Buddy Box, found in Metal Parts 3 of 3, which is this box right here. So, not that one. It is that one, our Core 1 Buddy Box. Has the 2 little holes in the end. Seal that back up. Okay. We need the green ones, which is grommet 19/16 millimeter. So 19 outside, 16 inside diameter. Found in the electronics and fastener box. So let's see which of these say grommet on them. Steel balls. Well, those definitely look like grommets. Rubber cable grommet, 19/16. Are there any others, or because I'm pretty sure that's it, but I just want to make sure. Hey, there's the lubricant I was looking for earlier. Okay, yes. So those grommets are the ones that we're going to need. And they are going to be the bigger ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, then 3 of those, 1 of those. Okay. So I know which one of those are. Then we need thermal pads. connector right here. So we need the 40 by 12 and the 12 by 12. We need some more zip ties. Mike, you figured it out quickly. Okay. How you doing, Tom? So Abby, sure the grommets we're gonna have fun with. I like having fun. Okay, so now we need the M3 by 6s, which are not in that bag. And they aren't in that bag. Unless I'm, no, M3 by 6. M3 by 6 screw. They are in this bag. Let's find the M3 by 6s. M3 by 6. Let's put everything back because that makes it easier, because I can just look at the outside and see where they go. Okay. M3 by 6. Next step, we're going to need some electronics here. Okay. Nope, that's actually in the electronics and chamber box, which I believe is this one. Yes, electronics and chamber box. We're going to need the X-Buddy extension board, which that's apparently what this board is called. This board is called the X-Buddy extension board. Let me stand up here and show you guys. So the one with all the connectors on the side. Okay. Then I need the X-Buddy board, which is in the main box, and that's the one with the Ethernet cable on it. That's our main MCU. Then we need the X-Buddy extension cable, which is found in this box. Which, based on the image, is our one with the larger connectors and the tail coming off of it with a ring connector on it. And the last part, it says we need the assembly multi-tool that is found in the printed parts box. And that looks like that. Bed stuff. I will say it is very convenient that they put these labels on all this stuff. That's our spool holder. Okay. Assembly multi-tool. It's convenient, but if you don't see the name printed on here, That does make it a bit harder to find. Filament sensor, filament sensor, filament sensor, puck universal. That is O-ring and spool holder. There it is, our assembly multi-tool. I'm making a mess. I'm making a mess. I like making a mess. Let's see here. Just going back through chat here. Mike, you don't want to work tomorrow. Now you have to replace the blower motor and resistor in your car. You replace the resistor and pigtail and it burnt out in like 2. Eee. Yeah, I'm not much of a car person, but that does not sound fun. Okay, so now we get to sit here and mess with our thermal pads. And let's go to the next step so I can see where they want these. Okay, so we have 3 locations on the back. Oh, that is very convenient. So they actually silk screened the locations for the thermal pads on the back of the board. But what we are going to do is we're going to grab our microfiber and wipe down where those thermal pads are going, because we want to make sure that there's no grease. And even though, you know, ISO doesn't always remove grease, it just moves it around. You give yourself a swiping motion so you move it off of there entirely. You should be pretty good. So we're going to grab the first of ours, and that's the nice long one. That's on. Then we just need 2 more of these. This is going to go in the top square. And then let's see here. The idler multi-tool was a lifesaver. Well, Happy Extruder, that is a good thing to know, that to make sure I know where that tool is, because any tool that can be called a lifesaver is worth making sure you know where it's kept. Okay, so our thermal pads are on. The thermal pads apparently wanted to go in the beard. Okay. So then we are going to peel off the blue side to get rid of any insulating material, so that way the thermal pads can do their job properly. Those are actually some pretty good quality and fresh thermal pads, because those came right off. So then what it's going to have us do is on here, on the little buddy box, there's a big cutout, and that is actually going to line up with our Ethernet port. And then if you look at the bottom of the buddy box, those 3 locations are where the thermal pads are going to be. So again, as thermal pads don't like to stick, we're just gonna Get some ISO on there to make sure that no oils or anything from fingers are on there. And then we are going to slide that in. And then we're going to use the holes, because there are holes that we're going to be screwing into. Make sure everything is in fact lined up properly. Okay. All right, so yes, that will be good. Okay, they are giving us a warning that this bottom screw, this screw hole is going to remain empty. They just have it there so that way you can see and make sure that you're actually lined up. So let's grab our M3x6s. And we're going to need 5 of them for this. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Get our first one in, and we're not going to tighten that down all the way yet because we want to get our other ones in there. So happy extruder, that multi-tool does zip ties and idlers. That is actually a very handy tool if it does zip ties. Yay for thermal pants. I could say that is something I've never had to deal with, but I'm in Florida, so it does not get cold down here, really. I still say snow is a myth. All right, so we're screwing down. On this side here. Right, now that they're all in, now we can give them some tightening down to make sure that we have a nice solid connection. Now that we know that they're all lined up, and as you see, that last bottom hole right here does not have a screw in it, but the other 5 that they marked out do. In fact, it's every holes except for 3 of them that are in the middle of the board, but all the holes all around the outside except for that one get a screw in it. Down under 30C sounds miserable right now. Okay. So next it's saying to take the buddy board and just put it above the main board. There are some standoffs built into the thing, and there is a cutout for the USB-C connector. And then we're going to get some more of those. 4 more of the M3x6s and get this buddy board inserted. Mike, no heat to defrost in winter. That sounds terrible. Unfortunately, I don't think your work will let you use the excuse of, hey, it's snowing outside, I can't make it into work. Yeah, down under 30°C is way too hot. Granted, I'm pretty sure we get there sometimes here, so I'm just happy we're not there right now. Oh no, James, what is the temperature outside right now? Okay, we're 65 Fahrenheit. I cannot do the Celsius conversion in my head right now. Anybody know what 65 Fahrenheit is in Celsius? Okay, so our 2 boards are in. Let's see here. Nemesis, it'll be freezing during the day most of the week. It'll be fine. Urban, the school system, tell the teachers and students, admins not to come in first. Yeah. I can say I have never had a snow day in my entire life. I've had hurricane days. Those were fun. Okay. Mad Dog, it's 18C here? Okay. Let's see here. Matt, down under, your brother does IT, school IT in Iowa. Yeah, I did school IT for a bit, and I can definitely say they are not, people in school IT are not always treated as fairly. Okay, so yeah, this is actually a very interesting tool. So apparently we just take this, and there are some loops here. We just kind of feed it and then use that to just curl it up. That is a very handy tool. Okay, so on this it's telling us do the first 2, skip 1, and then do the next 2. And then I think we are done with the zip ties there. Yeah, Happy Extruder, you're right. This is a very useful tool for that, for the zip ties, and I can definitely see how that could also be useful for the idler, belting the idlers. All right. now it's saying to take the buddy extender and we're going to plug this in. So with the two boards on the top buddy board, the connector that has the pigtail coming off, that's going to be the one that we plug into the extension board. And then the other one going to plug into the first port on the main board. So I'm going to go ahead and stand up here real quick and show you. So the extension board up here, that's where the one with the pigtail goes into, and this first port down here is where the other side plugs into. Now we get to get our grommets and put them in the buddy box. They make this thing sound so friendly. It's a buddy box. But of course, this is the part that's going to be a nightmare because the grommets on these are never fun. Because you have to contort them in ways that they don't want to, but there we go. There's the first one. And there's our second one. So both grommets have been successfully installed. Okay. So now we get to apparently put on a Wi-Fi connector. So we need to go to the electronics package. And we get to find, I believe, this tiny little board. Yep, that's our Wi-Fi package. So, nice little Wi-Fi package, and it has pin connectors on the bottom. Mad Dog, it's 18, 16, 8C, 18C. It was close enough. It's still a very nice temperature outside. Down under, I believe me, that is a one that I am very familiar to keep an eye out on, because I have my own stories of that going wrong. Okay, now we need to go back into the printed part box, and we need to find the Core 1 Wi-Fi cover, wherever that is. Which bag are you in? Those are the bed cables. Wi-Fi cover. Wi-Fi cover, and it conveniently has the Wi-Fi symbol on it. Not to be mixed up with the waifu. I think I just made James face palm. Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi. Okay, and so then we need some M3x12s. And M3x6, so I'm pretty sure. M3x6 we already have. M3 by 12s, on the other hand, we have to find. M3 by 12s. M3 by 12. There we go. Okay, so we need to insert 2 M3 by 6s into the side of the buddy box. Yeah, the days where you could actually sit here and solder pins back on, or do the very careful, you know, bend a pin back in place. I kind of like the land grid array instead of the pin grid array that we're using nowadays. Okay. So the M3 by 6s go into the side here. And it's saying don't tighten them fully, give about a 4mm gap. Again. All right, so that's done. Then we're going to take this, and it's saying to insert this, our little Wi-Fi card, into the little Wi-Fi adapter. There is a hole on the top side of this, and that will line up with this connector here. But there's also a lip on this side that you have to kind of slide it up under. So it's lining up multiple things to get this thing together. But when you do, it just kind of gets in there and sits and fits. It's like a cat. If it fits, it sits. Let's see here. Gergman, good night. Thanks for stopping on by. We're gonna sit here and don't know how many more are left in this step, or in this chapter, but I think after we get done with this chapter, that will probably be it for the night. This is saying now we're taking and putting this M3 by 12 into the top side of the Wi-Fi box. In there. Wow, the Wi-Fi apparently goes just
so you know, you're only about halfway through the chapter.
On the side. All right, we're in there. And then this actually goes through and tightens into the side of the buddy box. So we're good there. And I might have spoken too soon because James just informed me that we're only about a third of the way through this chapter.
There's 50 steps. We're on 15, 16.
On back assembly for 3. So, okay. Yeah, we have to grab the back assembly.
Includes the LCD and everything.
Okay, so yeah. What we're going to do is we are actually going to call this for the night because we've hit that 3-hour mark, which is where I've been trying to keep the stream lengths. You know, the last 2 streams I went quite a bit over just because I was trying to get that working, but you know, 3 hours seems to be about a good length for everyone. You know, the retention seems to stay pretty good there as well. So, you know, next week we will keep going on this printer from where we left off. You know, we're going to keep working on the back panel. No, well, Mad Dog, if you'd like a boat, give me a second here. There's a boat. I got a boat. That's
contents up top.
Yeah. Yep, so 52 steps in this thing. So yeah. But yeah, Mad Dog, I got you a boat. That is our Voron boat. But it's a boat. But other than that, you know, I look forward to seeing you guys next week. You know, reach out to me on Discord. If you guys haven't hit that like and subscribe, please go ahead. If you haven't done, if you're not already a subscriber or you haven't hit the like, and you know, down in the description is also a link to our Discord. If you have questions or want to talk, you know, join our Discord and sit here and come and hang out. But other than that, I've been Penguin Makers. Behind the camera that you can't see is James. And go make something awesome.